Hi there. I'm Dan, and this is Travels with Daniel. Hope you're doing well today. I'm not going to discuss my abuse today. We're still not at that point, but I am going to talk about what led up to it being possible for me to be groomed and then abused. And so we'd need to back up about a year. Uh, I was attending a private school, and I was bullied quite a bit. I was very different. I won't say I was soft, but I had a different way of looking at the world than most other boys, and it left me very open to being bullied. And I was bullied every day in a wide variety of ways, and I don't want to get into all those specifics either. But they left me feeling cut off and alone, and really didn't have anybody to talk to. And the more I'd get bullied, the sadder I'd get, and also the angrier I'd get. And I would think to myself, well, I need to stop these bullies. And I'd always heard that sometimes bullies just don't like to be pushed back. So after a certain amount of being bullied by somebody, I would fight back, which would inevitably lead both the bully and me to an administrator's office where we would get discipline. And so this administrator, and it was the same administrator all the time, would ask us each what happened. And when it would get to my portion of it, I would tell the administrator, well, he was maybe knocking my books out of my hand or pushing me or calling me names or doing a whole bunch of different things. And then finally, I just got angry and I punched him. Well, the administrator, one of the first times that I had done this, he said, well, Mr. Jones, it takes two to tango. And I just kind of looked at him. I didn't quite understand what he was saying. And he said, well, let me explain. He said, when two people get into a fight, both people do something to lead to it. This led me to believe that I had done something to warrant being bullied. And after hearing it not two or three or even a dozen times, but repeatedly throughout a year, uh, I I made that a part of my thinking. And anytime that something would happen, I'd stop and I'd process and I'd think to myself, because I've always been a thinker. What did I do wrong to deserve this? What in my actions have made me deserve this? And then I would set about to try and fix whatever was wrong with me. But there wasn't always something wrong with me. I was just being me. I wasn't taunting somebody to have them come and bully me. I was just being true to my character. And so I stopped being true to my character. I stopped being who God made me to be so that I could avoid being bullied. And I restructured my entire life so that people wouldn't bully me. And it was very rarely after the experiences in that school that people would bully me. Once they might, but I'd always fight back. And then there wouldn't be a problem. But I had changed my entire personality and I had changed my entire way of thinking. And so if we fast forward to when I was about 18, I was deeply, deeply in love with this young woman. And some form of trauma happened to her, and we still don't know what that was. But she withdrew, and so the love and the ability to communicate that we had both had with each other just seemed to have vanished. And I don't know still, because a lot of this is it was blocked out for years. I still don't know what happened in in a conversation that we'd had. But I can remember being desperate, trying to understand why, just a few days before everything was honky dory and we were communicating and laughing and deeply in love with each other. And now she was totally withdrawn. And in my desperation, I think that I had said some things to her that were not supportive because couldn't understand really what was going on. And, uh, and we had an argument, and we'd never had arguments before. And then she told me to leave her alone. And I can remember this clearly, driving away from that fight and thinking to myself, what can I fix in myself to solve this problem? What did I do wrong? And then the relationship ended. Every relationship that I had with women after that, anytime there was an issue, anytime there was an issue, I would always assume responsibility and ask myself, what must I fix? Now, I'm not saying that we don't need to fix things. No relationship is perfect. No people are perfect. I know that there are, faults that I have had that did need to be addressed. But I would assume the responsibility all the time, 100%, that I must be the one at fault and that there's something I have to fix in me. And also then the other person must fix something in themselves because remember, it takes two to tango. So what do I have to fix so that everything could be right? And this has led to very unfulfilled relationships that I would stay in because I was like, well, if I fix something in me, then this relationship will be better. If I keep doing the work, then this relationship will get better. Yes, you should keep doing the work in a relationship, but you should see progress also. You should see a return commitment to yourself as you're giving to the other person. And unfortunately, I wasn't able to make that distinction. So I would constantly be on this treadmill of just walking, 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 trying to figure out what do I need to fix in myself? Okay, fix myself. As soon as I fix this, that problem's going to be solved. But then the problem wouldn't be solved. Well, then it must still be something else in me. Something else I need to fix. Something else I need to make it better. Instead of being able to look at a relationship and just say, this is not working, I would continue and strive and just pour my heart into fixing it over and over and over again with a series of women, and most recently, the last 20 years with my wife. Now, I'm not saying I was a perfect husband because I wasn't. Going into the marriage, I had a lot of issues. I drank. Um, that was something I needed to fix, and I did fix it. I stopped drinking when we were married almost 2 years, and I haven't had a drop since. Uh, there's been issues with honesty that I've had out of fear, and I've had to work on that, and I've gotten better at that. I did, I improved these things, but all along, the relationship still never got better. It never did. And I mean, we'd have good points, and good times, but we didn't have a relationship that showed that we'd been together for 20 years, that had built on that. We were always stuck at almost the beginning. And it wasn't until I started to realize the effects that this administrator had on me, on my thinking, that I always must be at fault. Well, I'm not always at fault. I need to own. We all need to own the things that we are at fault for, and we need to rectify them. We need to work to fix them, and we need to make honest amends to people and say, I messed up, and I'm sorry, and I'm going to work on this, and can you help me? Asking for help's not a problem either. Help me. I ask God all the time, help. The shortest prayer, the best results. We have to, own what we do, but uh, we don't have to take responsibility for things that aren't ours. We've got to be able to make that distinction. We've got to be able to be introspective enough to say, I did do this and I didn't do that. And I'm not going to take responsibility for something I didn't do. Uh, so that's an effect that led up to my abuse. It led up to me being cut off. It led up to the ability for me to be groomed. So there's a very important aspect, and it's an aspect that stayed with me. It stayed with me through the abuse, and all the way on till now. I'm 51 years old. I've only recently been able to put it away. During the abuse, it was, very prevalent. What have I done wrong to deserve this? What can I fix in myself so that, I'm not made to do these things? Well, maybe I want these things to be done to me, so it must be I need to change my thinking. It's got to be my fault. It's my fault. It's my fault. Very destructive thinking. very destructive thinking. If you find yourself in the thinking where everything is your fault or you have a hand in everything, I encourage you to think about that and go to someone trusted, a third party, maybe a counselor, and discuss these issues because we're not always the one holding the bag. Okay? Okay. So I will talk to you guys soon. Remember, if you are following us on Patreon, if you become a supporter, we're going to have a Patreon only supporter event tomorrow, Friday. Only Patreon supporters. It's $5 a month. Any help that you can give, any support that you can give, will help me to continue talking about this message and bringing it out so that we can discuss male sex abuse, just abuse in general, and of course my faith. And with God's blessing and the peace of Jesus Christ upon all of you. You take care. Bye.